Dear God, teach me your way, O God. Guide my steps in your truth. Make whole my heart by your steadfast love, that my life may declare your praise. To God, this moment belongs to you. We can't do anything until you come. Please touch these lips of clay so that I may speak that which you would have me to say. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our strength, and you are our Redeemer. Good morning, First Church. It is a blessing to be here, and I have been absent for a couple of weeks due to spring break. But I am happy to be back here with each of you as we prepare to conclude the duration of the semester, which is going quick. But I'm reminded that God is still good. I see that the sun is shining today. The birds are chirping, Kate. And I see friendly faces. And the psalmist even declares in Psalm 133, "Oh, how good and how pleasant it is when brethren dwell together in unity." And I am close to those sentiments. Psalm 1. Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on this law day and night. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. Not so the wicked. They are like chaff that the wind blows away. Therefore, the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the assembly of the righteous. For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked leads to destruction. For these brief moments that we share together, I was wrestling with the title of this message, but I was thinking about the word devotion in this Lenten season. And I considered with Pastor Dan, whose birthday is today. Happy 50th birthday to our senior minister. I thought I'd say tending to the roots. But after hearing the song Prayer, authored by Kate and Peter, I think the Spirit is directing me to speak from the theme, "Teach me your way, O God." A couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to travel to my hometown. For those that don't know, I'm from the beautiful southern city of Louisville, Kentucky. Preparing to travel, I endured a snowy Boston, thinking that I would get away from all treacherous weather, only to realize I was leaving one storm going into another. Because 48 hours after my arrival, I, along with the other residents in the city and in the region, endured a very, very strong storm. You could feel the panic in the air. 48 hours from those projections, the storm arrived and left a once well-manicured city transformed by the force into one that was a bit chaotic, to say the least. Thousands of us around the city and those in the path of the storm were faced with strong winds, thunderous sounds that shook your being, in your homes and buildings, and heavy downpours of rain, winds that rained 60 to 80 miles per hour that left the region with downed power lines, which led to power outages and even uprooted trees. I recall going down the street one evening with my mother, and she was in the driver's seat. And I did not like that very much. It was pretty dark before the time change, and we were going down a neighborhood road, speed limit, and there was a tree blocking the road. I wonder what happens when trees in our life, if we were to think of ourselves as a tree, what happens when we fall? How can we thwart that? I couldn't help but wonder how those events told a story about our own respective journeys, especially during this season of Lent. Our theme, the truth that sets us free, contemplation and courage for the common good, was ringing in my mind in the season of special depth and intentional observance, the exhibit of 11 portraits from the project Americans Who Tell the Truth by Robert Shetterly. And then what we've done most recently is spend time, and what we will continue to do this afternoon, to spend time with these truth tellers. It has been in the corners of my mind this season, searching for the truth that I humbly believe God has directed us to this text on this morning. And I invite each of us to walk with me around this text. This book is often referred to as the book of praise, made up of 150 divisions. There in those 150, you see praise, elements of pain, petition, poetry, and prophecy. But this first division opens with a very unique hook. Blessed could also be translated as happy. What does it truly mean to be happy? I wonder today, have you ever been happy? Perhaps you were happy last month when that loved one gave you some roses unexpectedly. Perhaps you've been happy because your winning team won the championship. Maybe you've been happy because you realized that you woke up one more day. What brings you happiness? He says, blessed is the one who does not. Now, I must admit, I was a little troubled by this. I really was. I was troubled. Because instantly it says, blessed is the one who does not. I don't know about you, but it's awfully interesting, and I can recall in my own life trying to understand why everyone else could get by with certain things and seemingly like they prosper. But yet, with the guardrails in my life, there were some things that I could not do that my friends could do. Perplexed, I tell you. But I'm glad my perplexing heart did not allow me to stay stagnant and not read on. I'm glad that I know the beauty beyond those words. Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers. However, the blessed life is or argues that, there are some things that cannot be a part of our lives. I'm not arguing today that the blessed life is to be rooted in stale traditions that compress or depress your life. Rather, I would like to argue this morning that the text is reminding us there's a fine line between temporal happiness and eternal joy. David, who is credited to be the author of a chunk of the Psalms, recorded this in his 16th division. In thy presence is fullness of joy at thy right hand. It says, blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, does not stand in the way that sinners take, does not sit in the company of mockers. Notice, friends, the movement in this text. You go from walking to standing, standing to sitting. Notice the movement. You, I are on our respective journeys trying to make sense of what life is all about. And yet the wicked creeps upon us and causes us to make a choice. And that choice belongs to us. As we are in motion, as we are making progress, notice how the progress is slowing down at each mark. And it's calling us not to think that we are above anybody else. That is different. But it is calling us to beware of the trap set up by forces that mean us no good. Well, it goes on. And it follows with a conjunction. And it says, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord. Now notice it doesn't take the cues from the culture. And we all know what wickedness is. We can see that playing out in a plethora of different ways in our personal lives and in the lives that we can observe among others. But blessed is the one whose delight is in the law of the Lord. Jeremiah goes on to write, that prophet, but blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in the Lord. They will be like a tree planted by water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought. It never fails to bear fruit. These are the different transitions that we experience in our lives. Some moments may be highs. Some moments in our life may be lows. But the wicked's influence cannot sustain us amidst the movement of our lives. Blessed is the one, this is in the Psalm 1, whose delight is in the law of the Lord. I wonder today, what are our delights? What do you take delight in? Is it the thing that God is calling us to do, to be, to look towards? Or is it those things that keep us from making progress in our lives. His delight, or that person's delight, is in the law of the Lord, and that person says, I'm so delighted in the law of the Lord that I will meditate on it day and night. In this little season, we're called to meditate, to spend time and get to know God, right? Get to know the reason for our being. Get to know the source of our strength. First Church, David continues to offer a comparison of this blessed person like to that of a tree. What imagery? A couple of months ago, I had the opportunity to learn about the great work happening at the Arboretum. And if you have never been, I would encourage you to go. This 281-acre preserve is quite amazing. And its director is equally amazing, Ned Friedman. He spoke with so much passion, and he talked about the different trees there, many different trees. And I wondered to myself, well, that's interesting. Maybe we could look at ourselves as different trees, but one thing that we have in common, and one thing that those trees have in common, is its roots. How can a tree stand without roots? If you can find me one, I'd argue today that that tree is probably artificial. Tree gets its nutrients from the roots. And so do we. And trees are amazing if you think about them. Next time you walk out, when you walk out today, I want you to look at the common and look at the trees over there and think about how we use trees. They help us to breathe. They provide nutrients for us and food. They conserve water. They can give us shade. They give us shelter. Think about what we use, what are uses of trees in our own lives. Homes, fences, decks, wine corks, tables, paper, pencils, pews, trees. How about that? They have these different uses. What makes this psalmist say they should be like a tree? And they should be like a tree that does what? That is planted. If you want to really make use and capitalize on this Lenten experience, the little that we have left, I want us to be reminded that all of us, we must be planted. And the roots that serve to give us the nutrients to go forward, to sustain ourselves on this journey of faith wherever we may be, we have to tend to the roots. And the psalmist goes on to say it yields its fruit in its season, whose leaf does not wither, and whatever they do prospers. Isn't that kind of cool to know that when you're planted in something, when you're invested in something, that there is a return? That's not, when we associate with friends, we don't know if we'll get the same honor, love, and respect back. We just go on faith that possibly, maybe if I'm a good friend to this person, maybe that person will be too. But that's not always the case. But the assurance that we have on this journey of faith, First Church, is that if we are like a tree and we are planted, there will be some benefits. There will be some returns on the time, the treasure, and gifts that we work with in agency with God. And it says that the wicked, going back to the wicked is not so. What happens? Well, you tell me what I couldn't do. You told me where I was. But what happens with the wicked? Do they get disciplined? Do they get to go out and have their cake and eat it too? No. Verse 4 says that the wicked are like the chaff that the wind blows away. And they won't stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the assembly of the righteous. And verse 6 says it all. But the Lord, the Lord is not silent, or the Lord is not just sitting there. The Lord is watching over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked leads to destruction. I'm encouraged today, and I'm reminded of the song that says, I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved. Just like a tree planted by the waters, I shall not be moved. My prayer, teach me your way, O God. Teach me your way. Amen.